You just want the easiest way out.
But that's less about music and more about a personality type.
Sure.
It's more about
exactly
a value system or like an inner like compass or not about. I mean, again, this sounds God. What ass? We sound like dicks.
Enlightened or whatever.
Yeah, signal. You know, do you listen to any other Do you listen to podcasts?
All the time.
Do you watch them?
I've started to. But I also found that once I get the location of it in my brain, like once I see it one time, I can then imagine anyone in that spot from there on out.
But have you watched podcasts where there's like intense editing around it where you need to watch it?
No.
Because then when you're listening, it's like you won't get the full effect.
I have not.
Part of the tone is the visual.
And that's this.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm excited.
I think I'm more digestible too, like physically. Like I think if you listen to me, you're either gonna be like, "Shut the fuck up," or I don't know. I think you need like I don't know. I'd rather meet people in person. Also, it's gonna take me 10 minutes
to get cozy with
to like forget that this is happening.
Well,
just,
cheers.
like, pretend that we're just hanging out here because that's what we were doing. Cheers. A cheers. Tap one out for our homies.
Ooh, for all the homies.
Phil Barnes. Welcome to the Enlightened or Whatever podcast with me, Lowen. And my close friends call me Emily. So please don't call me Lowen.
I was thinking on the way over, I was like, am I going to call her Lowen or I'm going to call her Emily? Because I feel like I've known you as Emily.
Yeah, if you were on a podcast with Diplo. Okay, if you were on a podcast, it was like something, with Bleachers.
Yeah.
Would you call him Jack?
Huh.
Or would you be like, hey, Mr. Bleachers?
Jack, for sure.
Or hey, Diplo.
Yeah, Dippy.
What's Diplo's real name?
I feel like I looked on Wikipedia once.
It's Thomas, something Thomas.
He does give Thomas energy,
he
for
goes
sure.
by his first, like, I think he goes by his first name. So I think in personal, like when I walk into a venue and they're like, hey, Lowen. I say, I'm getting used to it, but I say, hey, for, today, because we're like behind the scenes, you just call me Emily. Like,
How weird was the first time you did it?
Absurd. It made me, dude, it made me because and we'll get into the backstory of like how we know each other. Because I think like whoever is ending up watching this is going to need to have context for all of this, but I don't want to get off of our train right now.
Yeah.
Like absurd. And because singer-songwriter Phil Barnes, singer-songwriter Emily Kopp. And that's like, so much so it's like a part of your identity. You're like, Emily Kopp played a bad show. Emily Kopp is a loser. Emily Kopp overdrew her account. Phil, you know what I mean? And then it's all on. But so I like the separation, the low and like it's sort of something that I serve and that I get to like be when I play on stage. But in this like interpersonal world, I'm having like trouble making the move to it on a person-to-person basis because it does feel absolutely like so silly sometimes. Like I don't know, but at the same time it's like I know other artists that do it, like Fletcher, Carrie. Well, Bleacher's more of a band, but still obviously then Diplo. St. Vincent, perfect example. But I'm sure when she walks into the studio, like her collaborators aren't like, "What's up, St. Vincent?" They're probably like, "Hey, what's your name, Annie?"
I'm sorry.
Do you know St. Vincent's real name?
I don't. I wish.
Damn it, Annie
Vincenzo.
I don't know what it is, but she has like a regular name. Who's the lady with the Sia? What's her real name?
It might be Sia. In my mind, I've accepted that loop has been closed for me.
That loop has been closed. Okay, so so I think to close this loop, I'm getting used to it. I'm used to it on stage. I'm used to it in emails. I'm used to it with other artists when they first see me, like in town, or you bump into someone because you only know each other online, let's say, first.
Yeah. And you'll go, "Hey, I'm Lowen."
Absolutely not. No.
Okay.
No. No, it'll be like I'll meet someone and Like one time I was at a coffee shop in an artist in town. We looked at each other because I knew who she was. She knew who I was. And then she came up to me and I was like, I know you. And she goes, Lowen, it's so good to meet you in person. I was like, I'm not going to say it in case she's not like famous. It's just like, I don't know if she wants to be shouted out on my pod.
Yeah.
We could bleep this. Oh, you wrote with her the other day. She's super cool. Maggie Miles.
Awesome.
So we met each other once, I don't know, for like a year or two ago. And I think I was probably like, I don't remember, but I probably acknowledged that I'm Emily.
Yep.
Like, you can call me Emily. We know each other now.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I don't know, it's a weird thing. I don't know. But I guess it's also if you're a producer under that name, too. It's, like Tiesto, like his homies, like in the studio aren't calling him Tiesto.
Right. They're calling him by his hopefully given name.
Yeah. What do you think it is?
Tiesto?
Yeah.
Seth is a good Tiesto switch up. It's not far. It still borrows most of the letters.
What's up? My name's Seth. I make beats. They call me Tiesto.
And that's really nice.
Seth, maybe. But yeah, all in all, yeah, it's weird. But yeah, the podcast, I wouldn't, not that I'm sitting here being like, Phil, we don't say each other's names a lot.
Right.
But I would think if you were to acknowledge me, we just go back too far at this point for you to even pretend that my name is Lowen.
Right.
But the podcast is a Lowen podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we're
I think mentally I look at this and I go, this is the Lowen era. I'm like, this is the era that she's in right now. Like I put Emily there, and that's when you're where you are. Right?
Wait, can we break that down? That's really interesting. You don't think it's permanent?
That's a great question.
Because to me, an era, when you say era, it feels like temporary.
It's
great. Just for a moment, not forever.
I wonder why I consider it to be from here on.
I do consider it to be from here on.
Right. I think that's where I live too. And I think era in my mind is like, this might be the only era I know,
Oh, this might be the forever era.
The forever era, or as long as we know it, Right. I feel like you're in it, living it, being it.
Yeah.
So I see it. I think I know there was a time before and now there is a time during, and I'm unaware of a time after. So I'm accepting that from here on out, it'll be this until, maybe there is something different, or maybe there isn't.
Well, good to know your definition of era.
Yeah.
I thought era was just like you meant for this chapter.
Yeah. It's not the Gen Z era that they're obsessed with using.
See. Okay.
I am not that cool, so I go off my own definitions of things.
So to you, you're like, oh, she made a shift, and now
this is where we are.
She's entering her, like she's grown up.
Yes.
We're not like baby singer-songwriter anymore, and like it's differentiated.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a mental thing too. Of like Emily takes out the trash, Emily washes dishes, Emily goes to therapy, Emily, like FaceTimes her friends all day. Like, Lowen feels like I don't even know how we got here. Should I just end this? Is this even interesting?
No, I'm down.
Remotely, we haven't even introduced you yet.
We don't need to.
We do. I'll just sum it up quick.
Yeah.
Because I do think about it a lot. Like when if someone were to give you an award for something,
it would be.
As a songwriter, I'm credited as Emily Kopp.
Yep.
But everything I produce and everything I sing and everything my name's on and I'm out in the world, Lowen. Which kind of is. There's a nice like. The lack of attachment to my personal ego is lovely, and it just helps me like light it up on fire in like a way that feels safe, because it's like I don't know, it feels like a safe place. Like I can go and like I used to hide that I like to like smoke, or I used to need to come off and because Emily Kopp is known by maybe people from a past era. People grew up with Emily Kopp. People, there's an image in people's minds, and sometimes that's really hard to Lowen like kind of broke me of shackles of just being able to be like, just step into who you are. and it's like a mind trick a little bit.
How do you treat that with someone wanting you to be something that they knew you as in the past? How do you handle that?
I'm having a couple of clashing thoughts right now.
Yep.
One, I want to thoughtfully answer, but two, I'm super distracted by the fact that we haven't introduced you. So I like kind of
can't. If we venture back here again after you intro, that's totally fine.
Will you forget this?
Yeah, it's so fine.
You won't forget that question?
Not at all. Yeah.
Okay, pause the question.
Yeah.
Phil, tell us how we know each other and why you're on the podcast.
How we know each other.
I'll say while you're on the podcast, but this is Phil Barnes, and he's going to tell you about himself.
I'll tell you how I know you first.
Okay.
Which was through various Facebook ads being fed at me.
Wait.
Yeah.
How far back are we going?
We're going to like 2012, 2013.
I kind of do want to acknowledge that we are super old friends.
Yep.
And that like, I kind of want to give my synopsis too of you as well. But go back to how we first met, because I don't think I know that.
Yeah, we met. The first time we ever met was at CNI Studios.
Yeah, but what's up with the Facebook ads?
Oh, so Facebook ads, I was playing bar gigs, doing menu venues, as you coined the term.
I thought you coined it.
It was you.
Really?
It was you who coined the menu venue term. I remember taking that and going, that's genius. And that's how I'm going to refer to that.
That's, wow, menu venue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I was doing it too, same time.
Yep. And so I was I was getting out of college at that time, not because I graduated, because it was time to get out. And and I was trying to figure out what to do. And I remember like looking at people that were doing similar things with me on Facebook, going through like the Andrew Bells and the blah, 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 everything. And being like, wow, if only I could be like this. And then I saw you, and I think it was maybe an ad the first time I got it. And it was like a video of you performing something. I couldn't tell you. It was well before you did like the Tove Lo cover thing that I still will pull up to this day and listen to, which I loved. Yeah. You had a sick cover of Habits.
With Adam Tuminar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So long ago.
So long ago. But I remember seeing something that triggered me to dive a little bit deeper. And I was like, oh, cool. She's playing a bunch of venues, doing the thing. And then you were on tour and you came to CNI Studios, which was a frequent haunt for me at the time. And you were playing a show with Wes Harley opening up for you.
Yes.
I remember going to see it, and I saw Wes play, and I was standing with Josh Diaz at the time, and I still remember the conversation that we had, and I was like, wow, this is like an incredibly inspiring night of music. I've never seen something like this before, because most of the peers that were making music in South Florida were like grunge bands, or they were like cover bands that you wouldn't hang out with. No shame. I played so many covers and got made fun of for it for years. And we can get into why that was a wonderful thing. But but at the time there was some singer-songwriters that would travel in, but it was no one that I saw to the level of what you guys played.
Well, the music scene in that area, like you said, it's a lot. Yeah, it's like it. It's not a hub of original music
at all,
in the way that we know it as.
There's no supportive community for it beyond what was happening kind of in that downtown Arts District area and maybe a couple other pockets, but like you weren't making a living doing it in any way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? You had to learn the tourist trap songs to be able to survive.
Yeah, like playing, you're doing like bar mitzvah, like
corporate
cocktail
gigs,
hours and bar gigs, things like that. Cool.
But I remember the standout thing from that night was I was like, wow, I see artistry. I'm like, this is something I haven't experienced before in person that isn't like paying hard ticket prices to go to Cruzan Amphitheater at the time. Or,
whoa, Cruzan.
You know what I mean?
Shout out Cruzan Amphitheater.
I'm probably saying that wrong. I think it was Cruisin' or something. But
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
the lawn seats was where it was at because it was $25 and I was about it.
That's what's up.
But I remember seeing that up close and being like, wow, what Emily and Wes are doing is so cool. I have to be closer to this. Like I have to get to know her, get to know him. And you and I met that night, and I think we were both aware of each other probably from Facebook at some point.
I think I had seen you because your aesthetic was just so clean. And at the time I was like you said, you were kind of a big fish in a small pond, and I kind of felt similar in the way of like I just took my shit so seriously
Yes.
from the very beginning. In like now I look back and I appreciate that I was like that, but you also look back and I appreciate the fact that we were so bold around something that I now deem like I wouldn't really show anyone the work I made, like
Right.
the first songs I made. But I think when you're first starting, you don't, the naivety of like youth in something is actually like a superpower because you have courage to just go for it, because you don't even know that there are people who are going to think you don't even know you suck.
Right.
So it's great.
You're just like, I'm better than I was yesterday. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm closer. And so I remember seeing you online. At the time, it was definitely more of a Facebook era.
Yeah.
And like your banner was, like your photos looked on point. It didn't look local. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you were on the same like wave that I was trying to be on, of like, okay, let's try to make a lot with a little. And I recognize that because I also know you brought, like, you'd bring a pull up
banner. Yeah.
Banner.
Almost like you'd use at a trade show.
Yeah, dude. Like Vistaprint.
Yeah.
It's amazing though. It's so smart. And it had Phil Barnes on it, and you would do like pictures of people after gigs and whatnot.
Yeah.
It was so awesome. And I think we can get into this later, but it's just like leveraging like what you've done to like help get you into working on whatever your next thing is that's going to like make you better, and using that to leverage the next thing, and use your $40 to buy yourself a shitty guitar so you can learn a song. Once you learn a song, get a gig, use that money to buy your recording gear, like keeping the wheel going. And I think I recognized it when I saw your play, and you wrote songs and the whole thing. I did. So at CNI Studios, flashback, CNI Studios, saw you there, and I definitely knew of you then as well.
Yep. And
I
so it was
thinking
like,
it was cool that you came.
and I remember, I just remember seeing you play that, and I was like, damn, this is so cool. Like, if only I could do something like this one day, like do a tour. And I think you were like, you had been on a run up until that point. You were going somewhere. I think you played Louisiana a couple of nights before or something. You were traveling around.
I think half of them were probably menu venues that I was using to fund like the next.
Which
you know what I
had
mean?
to do.
Totally.
But and you were funding a band being out there too, which was, at any stage of things, not something I really ever did, because like the impossibility of it on my end was like massive. To think the idea of like keeping 5 other people alive on the road when I'm like chasing other cars in my Ford Focus is just like, it was just like, that was a thing I could not surmount in my mind. So it was like, I am a singer-songwriter.
Something I'm realizing now is that for me, I think half of it is being with other people.
Yes.
Huge reason why I'm doing the podcast, because the solo thing is like fun, and I love ripping a show live, and I love that aspect of it. But the parts that I miss most when I think about, because I'm not touring a ton right now, is like those like sleep, that era, and having the camaraderie, and being the most uncomfortable, and being in these like weird, these day-to-day experiences that only someone who has done that could. You're in situations where you couldn't even you're like, how do we even explain this to someone? Like we're sleeping in the roof of the guy that booked the show. Like, that's why this, like the whole, you're like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
And so that part's really special.
Yeah.
I will say they grinded it. I mean, they got, nobody was making a lot of money. I will say that, but like everyone definitely was down. Like those dudes were down to put in the time and the work. And I think we all got really great together, and we had such a communication together when we played, and like a camaraderie, like like this one drove and this one did this and this one, and we would go to Whole Foods and go shopping, and they were down to have like, because we're not doing fast food, so we'd fucking do a cooler, and I got like $1,000. Do you remember was that the tour you came on with me,
right? Or Larabar?
We did together in the van.
In the van. You took me on my first tour, which is
that was in
that
the
I
van
tell
though, right?
Everyone, yes, it was in the red van. And you had just gotten the trailer. at that point.
Yeah.
It was, and it had like lawn care or something on the side of it. No, it was a boat rental supply
it was a
thing.
boat rental.
That's exactly right.
Supplies.
I
Like,
can still see the light pink and teal.
Yeah, pink
Yes.
and teal, like aesthetic, like 80s aesthetic.
Such a vibe. No one was going to break into it because they didn't care
So
about
fun.
inflatables.
What a crazy, like, literally nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose. Larabar
Yeah.
sent us $1,000, and at the time I could not believe it.
Yeah.
Because it was like living off of like a couple $100 a day, maybe.
Maybe.
Like, where I'm like checking my Bank of America online, like, am I going to be able to like get us to the fucking next gig?
Next gig, and
Like,
then
and then like
tire
to
pops.
these guys like acting like, yeah, like we're good, God, let's go, like you're keeping a rapport up and everything.
yeah.
But damn, yeah, it was a thing. So I think we instantly vibed.
Instantly vibe from that. And then you were generous enough to take me on the road with you for the first time. And that was the first time we went on tour, was in the red van.
So many
And we
vignettes.
played,
of that.
you played a corporate gig in Orlando.
That's how I funded
Yes.
most of it.
And that was the first thing. And then we jumped from there. I remember you and I both went into the bathroom of the corporate venue, washed our hair in the sink.
We took like a little,
Yeah, a little judge.
a little,
Yeah.
like
And,
in the dryer,
the dryer.
just to feel fresh, you know,
Just to feel fresh.
Just to feel fresh.
And then we drove that night, I believe, to South Carolina.
Did you come to Athens with us?
No, I
Ever?
did not. That was
Melting?
the tour maybe after or before me, but
Okay. Oh, and then we went to South Carolina.
South Carolina, played both Mojo's venues.
Shout out to Mojo's.
Shout out to
Do we
Mojo's.
shout out to Mojo's?
I
They
mean,
still exist?
one of them still exists.
Okay.
From what the word on the street is. I'm still trying to keep a pulse on the singer-songwriter scene within the Carolinas if I can.
It was like, thank goodness to Rob Green. Who
Oh my gosh, blessings to Rob Green.
I love
What a
him
guy.
so much.
You know what? You know what's so funny? As to this day, whenever there's a song that comes out, I go, what do Rob think about this?
I know.
I'm like, because he had such a cool, like, just such a cool perspective on music. And he was just like,
Yeah.
he was like the guy that you tried to impress all the time, right?
Yeah,
Like,
he's the coolest, like, cool dad, like, fucking awesome family. Because let's just pretend these cameras are people sitting in
Yeah.
a circle with us
Yes.
in the conversation. Can you explain who Rob is in context to like us being on, like us playing shows at these venues in the Carolinas?
Rob Green is a hero, first thing. So is Christy Green.
Legend. They send so many cute gifts for Luna. Like they're
And
the
so are
best
Allie and
family.
Brady. The whole
Love you
Green
all.
family is gold to
Yeah.
singer-songwriters.
Forever family.
Oh my gosh, they put us up in their house. They fed us. They booked the shows.
Yeah,
And
like
I remember the 3 shows we did in the Carolinas was, okay, Rob's booking Clemson, Rob's booking Greenville. We're staying in their house both nights, and then we're going to his daughter's house
Yeah.
in Charleston to play a gig.
we played
Yes, we did.
the craziest.
Yes.
Were you there for the other house show in Georgia one time with all the lesbian girls?
I
the
was
softball
not.
team and the Maddox kids were like thinking they were gonna hook up with like all these, and they were all
Oh,
gay.
that's hilarious.
You were that different house show. Allie's house show was in.
It was in Charleston.
Okay.
Yes.
We played the craziest. I think I might have to like cut to a clip, like, and find a clip
Yeah.
of this house show
Yeah.
that we played at our friend Allie Green's house, who became our friend
Mm-hmm.
through this family, through Rob Green, who is a music passionate, like lover of music and supporter of art.
Mm-hmm.
And like his passion is like finding artists and booking them at these venues that he was like helping his friend out with. And that's how we ended up meeting. And they're the family that's like, I don't know, I love my family, but like also they're the kind of family that you just like wake up in their house, you're hanging, you're like, I could totally see merging into this family.
Yep. 100%.
100%.
They were the pinnacle in my mind, and still continue to be, of what I would want to do when I'm their age. Which is I just want to be able to like have enough space in the home to be able to host musicians that are chasing the dream.
They're special.
Going to do the thing, and just host them, and then feed them, and then just be like, go on your merry way.
Yeah.
We're always here whenever you need us.
They're the best. Like, they're the best people, and we keep in touch. Like, we're family friends now. Like, it's a thing. It's awesome.
They're great people.
We need to cut to a clip. Can you do this, and we'll cut to a clip of the house show?
Do you want me to shake this?
Yeah, all you do is drop.
Oh, drop.
Because it's just one way.
And drop this to the ground.
No. No, just do like a.
Okay.
Perfect. And then, okay, so we'll come back from the clip.
Okay.
Ha! That was crazy. That clip was fucking crazy. Okay, so we played in Charleston.
Yep. And then.
Ooh, that was radical.
Do you remember what was next?
Hold on. Wait, this is good. This is good. I need to work on my memory. The Carolinas. That was amazing. You were making vlogs too throughout the whole time.
Oh yeah, the Cop and a Phil tour still exists somewhere on YouTube. I'm sure you could find it.
Incredible. Find two people who take their jobs more serious
than us, at that time making no money. Just being like, we have to do this right, or we will never open for John Mayer.
Man, that is so, man. What was Clemson?
Yep. Okay, so Clemson, Greenville.
I know
Charleston.
I didn't party in Clemson and get drunk because I feel like there was something we had to be up early for the next day to go. There was another show somewhere far.
It may have been Charleston. We came back.
Okay, what was after Charleston?
Nashville. We played Nashville. You played 8 off 8th. Yep.
That's when I met our friend. Do you know Ellen Angelico?
Yeah.
That's
great
when
player.
I think that is when I met it.
She was probably playing that night for one of the bands.
Yeah. Wow. Whoa.
Yeah.
Did you play 8 off 8th?
I did not play 8 off 8th. I did accompany you there. I was like, cool. I'm going to go. Like, you were so kind to take me on my first tour, right? You're just like, come on, Phil, we're going to go do this thing. And I was just like, cool, I am going to half split driving, and I'm going to learn a lot. Which there's a story that I don't know if you even know about this, but haunts me to this day from this tour.
I have a story. It doesn't haunt me, but I'll see if you remember it, but tell me yours.
Okay. So there was a night we were driving that we all almost died.
Keep going. I was going to talk about a night
this?
Where you and I stayed up and drove, and it was like, it got really dark.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Well, one of those nights.
Yeah. I know exactly what
we were trading off. It was me and the bass player were trading off driving. Man. And we got to a point where I was so tired. I had never been more tired. We had stopped 3 times for Phil to get a Red Bull. And there was no more juice in me.
You didn't sleep at the time too, so you were like,
oh yeah, which is a wonderful thing that we will figure out from that. I have more to talk about that now. But I didn't sleep at the time too, and I told you I had to sleep like 2-3 hours a night at the most. For some reason, this crippling anxiety that I was going to die when I fell asleep, and I stayed up because of that. That being said, we're driving through the night. It's 2-3 in the morning. I'm done, right?
Yeah.
And I look over to the bass player, like, dude, I'm gonna need you to take over. And he's like, oh, dude, I am so not capable of doing this right now. And I was like, dude,
where was High?
Oh, you were done in the back, passed out, right?
Prima donna, like
you and Joey and Kevin and Chase all knocked out. It's just me and the bass player, right?
Oh my God.
And I'm like, man, I am I'm done, dude. And he's like, and he's like, let's stop, get another Red Bull. Let's get another. I was like, all right, we'll stop. And he switched for a little bit. And then he gets 30 minutes in driving. He's like, dude, you got to take over again. And I was like, oh, shit, like, I don't want to let Emily down. Like, we got to make sure we get to this. We got to make sure we get to this gig, right? And I was like, all right, I'm going to get in the car and I'll drive. And my wingman passes out, right? And I'm driving maybe 12 minutes into this next clip. And I fall asleep. I fall asleep and wake up. My eyes open and sees a green sign in front of us that shows a roundabout, one of those turns coming off of the interstate, right? You go to the right and you turn back around, it'll take you onto another thoroughfare.
Oh.
I wake up and we are seconds from going off and flying in the air off the embankment. Seconds. I mean, couldn't have been more than yeah, I mean,
I don't remember this at all.
Well, everyone else was asleep at this point, including me. And so I wake up, see the green sign, and I go, oh shit, that's not right. And I look and I go, oh my God, there's like a 30-foot drop. Like we would have all died on this. For sure. Woke up, go, pull it over, and the trailer whips behind us, gets us into the lane.
Oh, dude, and we had the trailer.
We had the
that
trailer.
Okay.
We were feet from falling off of that, what seemed to be a cliff in the middle of the night.
Did you end up? So what happens after? I
stayed awake the rest of the drive.
You just had like all your dopamine, like all your cortisol, like
adrenaline, anything that was left in me popped. And I mean, I was like, yeah, this is what people talk about when they fall asleep when they're driving. And there's some crazy shit that happened. I was like, this would have been my first tour ever, and we all would have died. What? And that has haunted me. And I think about it all the time now when I'm driving and I feel woozy at all. I pull off the side of the road. Anymore. I'll get a hotel. I'll do whatever because I don't fuck with that at all.
So why do you do it now and you didn't do it? What stopped you then?
I was
from
22.
That's facts. Yeah, that's very true.
And I was making dumb decisions.
So you just have perspective on it now where you're like, you didn't want to, what was your motivator? You just didn't want to wake us up, like you didn't want to disappoint?
Well, I had already negotiated with the bass player and he agreed to not take over the wheel of the vehicle anymore that night. That was his decision. He was adamant about it. And I was new to the team at this point. So I was like, you know what? He's made his stance. There's probably no changing his mind. This is what my reality is. I'm just going to have to man up and do it. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to grind and do it. And that's when I fell asleep.
And my goodness.
Yeah. So that is
horrifying,
wild. Probably to know in hindsight. And I'm so sorry.
Yeah, if our parents watch this, they're going to be all those years that I'd be like, we're fine. Oh my goodness. Yeah. We're just, I'll text you when we arrive. We're safe. Everyone's up, you know, and it's not maybe what people picture. Like you're not out there doing, crack and stuff, but
definitely. No, we couldn't afford it.
Yeah. It's like people falling asleep at the wheel. Right. Like that's the real dangers or, getting mugged when you're like rolling out or something. Yeah. That's wild. I think the memory I have is also from that night, probably before I fell asleep. Yeah, before I fell asleep and before you fell asleep. Yeah. Where it was just us two up. And 4 a.m. specifically, like there's this like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Sometimes it can hit me.
Yeah.
I'm curious about you. Especially when I was traveling a lot, and especially I only really can recognize this in hindsight. Maybe I know I felt it then a lot. And maybe it was like also where I was in life too. Maybe it wasn't just the traveling aspect, overnights, and like you're driving and you're up all the time, and like this really crazy. You're kind of in the there's like uncomfortable twilight zone that happens around 4 a.m. filling up at a gas station. I have a horrible memory, but I can specifically remember like filling up gas with you at this gas station. Everybody's sleeping. You're like cold from your sweat from the show.
Yep.
And you're like, like you just want your fucking bed.
Yeah.
And you're like, in this moment, none of this feels worth it. But and then you go to sleep and you wake up another day and you're fine. But there are these like weird hours where you're just homesick and you're kind of sad. And I remember feeling that sometimes on those like long night drives, like 2, 3, 4 a.m. if you stay up long enough, and it gets like weird. Like you get weird at night and like existential about shit, and you like see weird people out at those hours. They're just strange other beings that are up at night, and you're going from place to place and it's unfamiliar, and I got like strange feelings often at night. But I do remember But I do remember that night being like, we talked a lot.
Yeah.
Like it got kind of intense, right?
Yep, I remember that.
But good intense. It was a week we
intense.
really got to know each other very well.
Yep. You were newly
All of our walls were like down.
Yeah. I remember it because it was, I think we realized from the moment that you and I had met, it was like, oh, we're on similar paths.
Yeah.
We also have similar thought patterns and approaches to things. I wonder if we're similar emotionally when it came to like how we approach things, how we approach relationships, how we all that. And I remember like diving in, weaving through that. I think you were newly even just meeting your now wife at that time. Like I think you had just met her.
Ooh, I probably.
I think so.
Yeah, that. But we did. We connected, and that night, and I think the veil, like gets what's the term? The veil.
It's removed or
gets more see-through.
That works for me.
The veil gets removed.
Yeah.
When you're guarded, when you're fucking tired.
Yeah.
And it's kind of how I describe it, like when I'm on an airplane or when you're on an airplane and there's like turbulence, you get scared for your life and you'll like we're in this together, right? Like it's that feeling and you're just lucky if you happen to be next to someone who you actually connect with.
Yep.
Which is kind of what I felt with you. So I definitely have like a memory of like a vignette in my head and of sort of this like little time warp of that night.
Yeah.
Before I guess I fell asleep and before you fell asleep. So I don't remember the almost crash, but
oh yeah.
Thank you
thankful
so much.
Yeah, whatever woke me up, I am grateful for. And that would have not been good.
Man, that is wild. So you were in Florida.
Yes.
Can you, before we backpedal and like go back to the story?
Yeah.
Can you talk about what you're doing right now?
Yes.
Who are you? Where do you live?
I'm Phil.
And what are you doing right now, Phil?
I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and I produce and write songs for artists, which feels like the thing that I was always working towards was to be here, but took a little while to figure it out. And I'm grateful to still be making a living doing that. And being able to make music every single day of my life is an absolute gift.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you genuinely feel that every day?
Grateful to do it. Yes. Grateful to experience the day to day. It depends. I have an interesting relationship with it where it's like some days are incredibly fulfilling and some days it's like for whatever reason doesn't feel like the engine will turn on. And those days are frustrating when you expect, yourself to show up a certain way. It's less and less common that I can't, make it happen, where I can't just either satisfy the need of the room or to get something that's like ostensibly good. The days where I feel the magic, those are still, just as much as it was when we were touring, you get a good show every few days, sustain me emotionally, financially. Like there's a whole,
at least 6 months.
A great show. Oh my gosh. Great opening gig or something. You'd be like, wow, perfect. We're good for a while. Like, I think, we probably between the two of us write a few hundred songs a year. And it's like, at that point, it's like, how many of those are really great?
How many songs do you write a year?
About 200.
I don't think I write 200 songs a year. I probably write that many ideas.
Yeah.
And maybe knit little nubs.
Yeah.
But full songs, honestly, I need to count. But I don't write that many songs. But the same sort of feeling applies to it though. Even though it might be the same sort of keep going through the the mucky moments because it's everyone's talking about it. Who said that? Where it's you have to open the what? Where's my?
Oh yeah, it's the Ed Sheeran quote of you have to turn on the water spigot and you have to let the mud
let
flow
the
out
mud flow to let it, but
Yeah.
that in like the larger sense of it, not just
Yeah.
up close to a song, but the larger sense of being in your day, being in your life, working on music
Yeah.
and art, and trying to stay like excited and inspired by things and wanting to make something.
Mm-hmm.
And often there is a lot of like, I gotta run amok, like whatever that is through your day.
Yep.
And it's worth always getting to the pure water.
Absolutely.
Like at the end. And if it's enough that it has to be enough to sustain you. Otherwise, it's like if childbirth was, this jump's gonna make sense.
Yeah.
If childbirth was really that fucking painful,
Yeah.
nobody would do it.
Right.
It's worth it because the muck of it is like, it's worth getting to the magic.
Right.
The muck is worth getting to the magic. Damn.
Put that on a hat.
Damn. I don't know if that's actually any good, but I like it.
The mug.
Yeah, that's so. I kind of have an idea of how you got from point A to point B in like a general sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we're not in each other's. Like, I don't know the details of the inside of it.
Happy to talk about
And
that. If you'd like.
you know, you had moved here, I think maybe a year or two later. I ended up moving here. You were already here doing your thing, and I think at the time, were you still Phil Barnes, the singer-songwriter, then, as well as starting to produce, or were you like full on, I'm gonna hang up my, artist hat now?
Mid 2015, middle of making my record, I was no longer Phil Barnes, the singer-songwriter.
In the middle of making
In the
it?
middle of making my record.
What happened?
I was staring at the back of my producer's head going, I want his job, not this. I don't want to be sitting on the couch, maybe making a record or a package of songs every 2 years and then have to go tour it and push it and get behind it. And then hopefully at a certain point, either find an investor or label, save up enough to be able to get back in the studio and do it again. I was like, what I was doing in there, helping program synths and like play parts and record and sing. I was like, I want to do this every single day of my life. And he does this every single day of his life. How do I do that? Yeah. And so the middle of making the record turned into, well, we're doing this. And it's like my art project, but also tell me, how do you do this? And like,
so you used it as like a master class of starting to get your feet, using one opportunity to get your feet into the next. Yeah,
literally.
Dude.
And like, it sounds calculated now talking about it that way, but in real time, it was like, wow, this is
smart.
My world opening, to like, wow, I could do this every single day. And like people at a certain point would pay me money to help them make their visions come to life. And so I remember being in the middle of that process, being like, this is no longer my path, what I'm doing right now, but I have to go see what this is about. And when I moved to Nashville, after making that record, because I was living up here back and forth from Florida to here pretty often, like every few weeks I was coming back and forth, and then I would stay at a certain point for like a month at a time, and I was like, I need to be here. Like, this is what everyone's doing. Like, this is the lifestyle you can live. Like, you should be here.
Yeah.
And so I made the move and knew no one besides my producer and Wes at that time.
Yeah.
And was so broke.
Yeah, how are you paying your bills then? Were you
I
still doing
saved up
menu?
enough from corporate gigs to pay for the first month of rent.
We would always talk taxes.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Because we were always trying to figure out how we could save money.
Yeah.
But I remember I saved up enough to pay the first month's rent and then like a couple $100 extra, maybe. But I moved here so broke, and I think I literally, like, I don't even know if I had a functional laptop at that time, but I did have an iPad with GarageBand on it, and so
I have a story. Yeah, you were fucking using your
my
Zoom recorder.
Yes.
As your interface.
Yes, that's how I was making records. When
I was like,
moved here
wait,
as a producer.
What's happening? Right? You're like, yeah, it's just like a hack. Like, you just like, I just done.
Yeah.
Like,
that was my
easy
thing.
MIDI in the computer, done.
And I was like,
and you no excuses.
And that was all I had at the time, because my side hustle at that time was going to people's shows and filming it on my little like DSLR that was, my little Canon Rebel thing. And I would show to people's shows. I would buy a ticket because I wasn't invited, and I would film it. And I would race home to my terrible first bedroom that was like not even supposed to be a bedroom inside of a house. It was a shack that they like turned into a bedroom. That was my first like recording studio where people would sit on my bed and record vocals. But I would race back home to that setup to edit a video that I would then hit the band up on Twitter and be like, yo, I just made this for you. Hope you had a great show. And then they would repost it and tag me. And so they're like, wow, we got free 1 minute highlight reel of our show with our most recent single. Like, wow, this is crazy. We should have paid somebody. And I would have been like, yeah, that would have been amazing. But I did it for free. And so people started passing the video around. I was just credit me if you put it up. And so they would tag me. And then people started to see my name around town as like the video guy.
Era,
and I was doing it all for free. And then eventually someone paid me some money to do it. And I was like, wow, this is a side hustle. I'm going to get a Zoom recorder, and that's going to be my interface. And I was just like combining three worlds at once, showing up to writing sessions with my iPad, making beats on my iPad with like my MIDI keyboard.
I remember this.
And Evan Gibbs keyboard amp. I would steal that from his apartment and bring it to the gig or to the rights. And I was just grinding, dude. Yeah. I couldn't afford a new laptop or Logic at the time. So when people would come over to record their demos and I'd like pull the laptop out to like actually do it, I would tuck GarageBand above the screen so it looked like Logic, you could get away with it. I was
there's so many things I'm thinking about as you're saying all this, because it's like you're not letting in our own ways. I think people who are like in pursuit of things that they're really excited about and they love and they want to make something of, like it's not even like hustle, don't make excuses vibe. It's just like, it's not even a conscious decision. And the things you're embarrassed about or ashamed of, you just kind of finagle. Like, you make it work to get to like, and I don't want you to lose your thought, but I want to backpedal to when you said, talking about it now, it sounds like calculated. Yeah. I don't think it sounds calculated. I think when you're in tune with your like purpose in the world and what excites you, why wouldn't you move towards that? Like when most people can only see with like the same glasses that they're looking through their whole life. Like you like, and you're like, oh, you saw the situation from and allowed it in and allowed it to change your perspective on something, and you wanted to move towards it. And I never think that like that's anything to ever be to have to say that about it. It's like totally just you being like, I like that, I'm gonna do that.
And at the time, like, and I haven't had a lot of these in my life, but when I know something is the right next step, it feels like a full body yes. It's like, you need to do this. Yeah. And I remember like the process of beginning to record that record was horrifying for me, because I had only played acoustic guitar live by myself, not with a drummer, not with really anybody other than maybe guitar players. And you're not focused on timing. You're just like, I'm making up my own timing. Like, I'm just kind of vibing with it, trying to be like, as groovy as possible and like move the room. So the first time I recorded to a click track was horrendous, where I'm watching him make the edits and I'm just like, oh God, this is really bad. And I remember driving home because I was staying with some friends that lived in Franklin at the time. The first day I left the studio, I recorded acoustic guitar by myself. And it took the whole day to get 2 guitar tracks down, right? And I was crying on my way driving back to the house, being like, I am not good enough to do this. I shouldn't be making a record, because people that do this are able to record to click tracks. They're able to keep time. They're able to do this, and I'm just not good enough. And I remember I woke up the next day and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try as hard as I can. I'm going to give it another go. And the next day I was like, oh, I'm like marginally better at this. And literally to producing to this day has literally been running from that wall. in 2015 of I can't play to a click track to now a click track is like a fucking beautiful thing to me that I love, and like I understand the feel of now, and like I understand when it's important and when it's not, and like how to groove with it. But at the time it was so scary and terrifying, but still felt like the right thing to pursue, even though I was so scared to go embarrass myself again.
So that's exactly what I want to ask you.
Yeah.
What stopped you? So this whole podcast, to give you some context, is also an exercise in that.
Yeah.
Is also an exercise in like doing something that I'm like, this might embarrass me.
Mm-hmm.
I only talk like this and hang like this, like with people that I'm, like, not on a, certainly not to like show anybody. I kind of can curate how I come off, but like how I come off is how I come off in person, and I can't edit that, and I can't hide myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever quirks come out, whatever jokes, whatever serious things, whatever emotions. So this is all, so, and I don't even know the answer for myself, but like for you, what didn't stop you like in that moment from letting potential, oh, I don't want to be embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, should I not even be making music? Like,
yeah.
How can something I love not, like, how did you make this become this?
That's interesting. I still felt within my body that it was the right thing to pursue. Even though my head was telling me you are not good enough for this. Like there are people that have gone to music school, that have finished college, that have done things that you should, have done that, and my brain was creating this narrative in my mind about me not being good enough to do it. But my body was still like, no, this is the right thing. Like, it's okay. You can figure it out. Like,
so you just chose to listen to, like, I'm not going to run from this. Feels good.
Yes. Cause like I was saying, like that full body yes has only happened to me a few times in my life. And that was one of those things I was like, no, you're meant to pursue this.
Ooh, what were the other times? If you can share.
Was pulling out of school after my brother passed. It was like, I need to do this. Everyone disagrees with me about this. My guidance counselor is like, you can't do this. My parents were like, you need to stay in school. You need to do this thing. All of my friends that were currently in school pursuing it were doing fine. And they were like, no, you need to stay here. You need to do this. You need to join the club. You need to do this. And all the voices were saying no, but my body was like, this isn't right. Like, you need to go save your life while you're still here and healthy and able to be able to go pursue this dream that you have. Like, go for it. Why not? And had I not, I would never be here at all. I wouldn't be having this conversation. We never would have met. Nothing would have came out of that decision had I chose it the other way. I'm sure I would have lived a fine life or figured it out, but I wouldn't have been the life that I wanted had I not listened to, okay, everyone else is telling me no, but this feels right. I need to go do this.
And perhaps in another reality of this, in another dimension, you are suiting up to go to your bank job, like whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
But for some reason, you led with like heart first, body first, just move towards, which is kind of like the essence of producing music.
Absolutely.
So it's like you've just got, where do you think your ability to like go in the direction of your own feelings, even against people whose opinions, even if it does rub with people's opinions who you love and who know you and who you value? Because I feel when you talk about your like story and like the inner parts of it, which I don't think we ever I externally like know it, but like the inner parts of it, it's like I'm just sitting here thinking like yes, say like yes, and it makes every step feel really, really, really hard also, because you're also at least logically wondering if you are letting down people or if you are like, well, I better not fuck this up.
Right.
There's like an element too of that. But what do you think, like, do you think you're just wired that way? Like, were you born this way of being this person who's like, I'm tuned to myself, I want to pursue it, I want to pursue things that are and having an awareness of what makes you happy?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me as a person, I have to learn by doing. I have to learn by failing, and I can only learn the hard way. That is the only way I learn my lessons. I will repeat them over and over again, but typically once I learn my lesson the hard way, I never forget it.
But and even that you have an awareness of.
Yeah.
You have an awareness of how you learn. Even.
Right. Because I remember my mom being in my ear so much as a kid, being like, you should probably do this, X, Y, and Z. And she would lay it out. And then I would still go do the thing. You know, I would go touch the engine of the lawnmower because I was curious what it felt like. And she's like, you're going to burn your hand. And I was like, yeah, but what does it feel like?
Like my body's telling me to do it, though.
And I would go grab it and I would burn it. And I remember being at my grandmother's house and she'd pull out an aloe vera plant and rubbed it on my hand because I burnt my hand on the engine. But I had to touch it. And now, like, it's weird because, like, looking at the whole journey of being an artist feels like I had to go learn it the hard way so that way I can confidently sit in a studio and know the pain of what someone sitting on my couch is going through, and know what it's like to tour and believe in a song and to not, and to when you're done singing and you need to go home for the day. I know what that feels like.
You can even on a just on a personal level like you can feel it.
Because I beat myself up when I made the switch at first. I was like, what were we doing for, 6 years of pursuing this? I was like, well, you should have just like gone to music school or something and like pursued this from the start. But now I'm grateful for it every single day because I'm not walking in going, well, we're going to use this compressor on your voice and then blah, 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 we're going to do this. And then I think it's like we can level as human beings, talk as artists. I know what you're looking for, what you want, because I learned it the hard way. And I'm grateful for that perspective. And it's like been the thing that has served me the most of being a producer and songwriter is to know the journey and what it's actually like, rather than an idea of what I think the life outside of the studio is.
Yes, exactly. What a day-to-day life of an artist is. You understand what
and how hard it is to save up to make a record. Straight up. I know how hard it is and how awkward it is to have the conversations about money and like figure all those things out. So I'm not scared to have those conversations, and I try to be like as warm and like helpful and encouraging as possible because I know what it's like to be on the other side of that.
Yeah. That is such a that's such an accurate perspective, and I think that like we all are like products of you're not the way you are as a producer and as a person in the world, like in spite of taking that road. You are it because of it. It's like Sage, our friend Sage, who plays drums. He also helped film some of the podcasts, and he also plays drums in my band. We were talking about this, how like your sound is a product of, it's not even a conscious decision. You're just sometimes just a product of your environment, how his sound, and he plays and he expresses the way he does because of just what he had at first, which were like janky, like it wasn't even real drums, I think. So a lot of his sound is this sort of like organic, morphing kind of artistic song expression via the drums, and it's kind of like he couldn't have come up with that on it. It's like he's a product of the influence of the hardships or the lack of gear, the lack of, and that I think that's what makes you, the fact that you had an artist era, and you released a record and you did exactly like what you're talking about. It does give you a totally different perspective that you can't read it. You can't have someone tell you about it and understand it. It's like you have to. I feel like you are the producer that, at least on an emotional level, where a lot of people can feel comfortable and safe for just talking about something as simple and as not emotional as talking about, money, and making things really clear and safe so that okay, now let's go make music.
Right.
And you're just like a good, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing that is ulterior or like, I don't know. I just hear really fucked up stories too of a lot of women. Hasn't really happened to me because I think I give off like vibes, but I hear a lot of horrible stories of girls in studios, women in studios dealing with producers who are, not well-intentioned people, and at the root of it all. Yeah. And at the root of it all, I think whoever you're working with, it's important that they're, I guess if that's in line with your values, that they're good also at the root of it all, and they're kind and they have good intentions. And like you said, your experience is what created this. I don't know. It is the hard road, but there was no other road. That was the road.
Yep.
So there's no other context. It's your road.
Exactly. And I think that tying into, your conversation about Sage and your point about the way that we all approach things is like, I preach this to artists all the time, especially ones that are young, that are just beginning to build a fan base, is like you build your corner of the earth, right? You start with a blank slate and you invite people into it.
Yeah.
Right. You go, I'm going to make music like this. I'm going to try this out. I'm going to get on the stage. I'm going to sing it. And you just imagine yourself in this corner of the earth on a stage singing your song. Right. Mm-hmm. And then one person shows up and you love on that person so much. Be like everything that you wanted as a fan. Imagine you switch roles. Your favorite artist is on that stage and you're looking up at them and you go, holy shit, I'm the only one that's here. And I love this.
Yeah, nobody knows about that. I could gatekeep them. I gatekeep this artist. Like,
what would you want as a fan? Mm-hmm. You go, oh, it would be my dream. I would love for them to do this type of show. I would love this type of merch. Do that for them. And then they will go tell that to everyone. And then they'll bring their 10 other people and they go, oh my gosh, we love Lowen so much. We want to be a part of this. We love it. And then they start to spread it. And you don't focus on the outside, right? You just focus on your corner of the world and love on those people. And if it's 10 people, it's 10 fucking people. If it's 100 people, it's 100 people.
100%.
And you be grateful for every single face that's there. And eventually it'll start to grow and compound. And then there's people that are turning around being your speakers and sending that even farther. But like, I think that's the way we all do everything is like, there's producers that are incredibly shitty to women in this town, that town, LA, New York, wherever.
I don't know where you motherfuckers are. Never met you because I scare you. I don't know. But like, where the fuck are you?
I hear stories all the time.
Let's have a word. That's horrifying.
It's horrifying. And it's like no one should feel, especially when they're making something as vulnerable as music and their art, should feel taken advantage of in a situation like that. It's disgusting. And like the biggest thing for me is like, I want, no matter who's in my room, what background they come from or whatever, like I want them to feel like it's a safe space for them to be fully themselves. Right.
Yeah.
And my job is to go before anyone else is in that corner of the earth looking at it, go, what's the most true thing to you? Let's make that. And then help them broadcast that out and build those fans and to come into it. But for me, like my studio is my corner of the earth and I do things this way, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone loves it, right? There's a lot of people that just won't work with me because of the approach to the way that I do things. And that's fine. Totally cool with me. I am not for everyone, but for the people that I'm there for, I want to be their biggest fan, right? I want to be there and help cheer them to get their music out into the world into a way that feels most accurate to them and most pure in their heart. And as long as I can do that, I win, right? That's the only thing I can do. And I think like as long as I have the opportunity to continue making music as a career, like that's the only thing I want to do just in greater capacities is like have a long-term relationship with artists, go as deep as possible and write the truth, not the hits. Right. I think the hits come out of truth, but I don't think it works the other way around. I don't think that you go and write the hits and then discover your truth through that. Like, I don't think it works that way. I think it works where you write what is true to you, give it to the world and see how they respond to it, and then improve from there and just try to make it better. Yeah.
Do you think that a hit can be a hit even if it's not clicking with the zeitgeist of culture? So, because for something to be a hit, you now need something external that requires it to be a popular hit, right? But like, there are hits. I'm thinking of what was this song that Running Up That Hill that just blew up again. because of an amazing sync. But that song like had a moment in time, and then it just kind of, you know, fell back into just being a, you know, like a song. Probably, I don't know much about how that song was doing before. I'm not a stat queen of songs, but it had this other moment again, and it clicked with culture, and it clicked with the zeitgeist, and it was a hit song, and I'm sure it came from emotion, but it's like, what do you say about a song that literally takes 20 years for that to happen?
Yeah.
Was it always meant to be? Like, how do you then, when something is externalized, like, how do you, is it a hit in your studio? Is it a hit? You know, like when you feel something is like, this is special.
Yeah.
And there's no like external, like, I guess I don't really know what my question is. I think I'm just always constantly, I'll tell you what, let's like, rewind. I'm thinking about this idea of like, just doing your thing, and you can be doing your thing for 5 years. You could be doing your thing for 6 years. I'm like you. I'm in it for the long game. I love the craft. I love being an artist. I love expressing myself. Of course, do I want to be playing sold out theaters all the time? Yeah. But I'm not going to ruin my day-to-day life to make that happen. Everything in its own time. You just need to stay your course and do your thing. And I don't know who it was, but like maybe Jack Antonoff, I don't know. But you're just doing your thing, you're doing your thing, you're doing your thing. You're not chasing what the thing is. You're just like doing your thing. And at some point, like on a bigger level, I'm talking beyond like the corner of your world, but when you're talking about hits and things, that being a result of eventually people coming around to what you're doing. And I try to wrap my brain around that, because I've also had conversations with other songwriters and producers, friends of ours, we've talked about this, like, are there people of musical brilliance and artistry among us that nobody's ever going to know about because they don't share their music? Or because, you know, is art if you never share it? Yeah, but like, how do you know, like, I guess, is a hit indicative of something that is timeless? What makes something special? I mean, like, all of these questions. And so like when you're in this, I guess when you're working with an artist and they want to chase. Right. Or they're in a new artist mode where you need to you want to like check their perspective a little bit and bring it more towards where you think they should be at, to like a healthier place. Or how do you recognize when someone is creating something that is going to be, that feels special? And also second part is like, when they're on a path of like chasing something that's not them, they're running from themselves. You see that a lot. We all ran from ourselves. I pretended to be Sarah Bareilles for a year and a half of my life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you get an artist? And when you're in the studio, just like stop running from themselves and just being themselves and moving. Do you know what I mean?
That's a great question. A lot of the first conversation that I have with an artist, if I haven't met them or I don't know their story at all, is I ask them what they loved growing up. Like, what was their favorite records that they listened to when they were like 12 to 16, 17. You can usually find the roots of what someone really loves that came from that era. And I'll talk a lot about those records because people walk in with references all the time. And they'll go, well, I want it to be like this, this, and this. And it's usually something from the last year and a half that affected them deeply, or they went, that's really cool, or it's currently active on radio, Spotify, so on and so forth. They're like, this is what I want to do, and I think I'm capable of it. And while that may be the thing, it's almost an instant redirect to like, what did you really love growing up?
Because that'll be in their DNA.
It's in your DNA.
That's memory. Like, that is sonic memory.
And there's days of conversation that we can have off of that one topic. I want to listen to those records with them and go, what's your favorite lines? What's your favorite guitar part in that? Why do you like the tones of those drums? Like, what do you love about the vocals in this? Or, and there's so many points on the map when you listen to that is in their DNA, and that is the thing they're probably likely to make something that is it's just like a great soup out of
a great
musical soup. If we're
a great musical soup. Yes.
You know what I mean? Like just stir the pot a little bit. Like what's in there? Like for me, there's a lot of
what's in your what the fuck's in your musical soup? Let's do
my
it.
musical soup.
We'll play clips of it. YouTube won't flag it, but
is something from the era of Plans and Transatlanticism, Death Cab for Cutie, for me for sure. Some Mad Hope, Matt Nathanson. I love that record and the songs on that and the guitar parts and the vocal production. I love that. There's a lot of Andrew Bell in me. There's a lot of Coldplay that's in me. There's a lot of Rihanna randomly that's in there. Like that is like a lot of Katy Perry.
Cool.
And
also the covers, dude. We played so many. I found my book of covers from that era a couple of weeks ago. It's all that. It's a lot of that, like Katy Perry. We played those songs. Like you played so many popular songs.
Nail on the head. And
for
that was something.
Years.
I don't know if this was your experience. I got made fun of so much behind my back for being the cover guy. From people that are currently active or no longer active within the music industry. that were playing gigs around where we were in Florida, and they're like the cool people that only played originals, right? And then I would play my cover songs, right? Because for me, I wanted to have people have a good time, and I was
and you want to make money so you can make records.
Nail on the head.
Like,
and so I'm grinding, doing it, making people have fun, and I remember hearing whispers. After gigs or that they would say to other people, he only plays covers, he only does this. And it's like, well, the thing is like, I'm so grateful looking back on that now because it was a study on pop music for like 6 years of my life. Where I was like, what's the arrangement like on this? What's this? And it's like, I wasn't conscious of it but now I'm like.
It's in your DNA, musical DNA, lyrics.
Yeah.
Being able to, I think of it for me in that way, for you, like, yes, the pop stuff, singing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, the bar starts just at another level. When you've played like for 4 hours, you would fucking change your strings too every gig. I remember, like this fucking guy, really? Oh my god!
That was a whole shtick.
But it was like a whole thing. But like, and I don't know how you kept everything in tune, but like. It was all of the being in practice with all that stuff fed. It was never a waste. Like anytime, if you ever second guessed it, I keep hitting this. I know I'm gonna watch this in the edit and be like, "God damn it, Emily." Lowen. Like it totally. Yeah, we can improvise.
Yes.
Make up ideas on the fly. You can interact with people if they make you feel uncomfortable because you've been made to feel uncomfortable all the time by drunk people at random. Your social skills, your showmanship, your bantering.
Mm-hmm.
My voice, I can marathon now because of that. So, yeah, it's just I feel like we went to the gym for a lot of years.
And that's what's interesting to me about you too, is like when I think about the way that you came up, I think it informs so much in the music that you make now, even into the way that you approach your vocals and the way that you sing.
I think I'm just arriving at it. Just now, a little late bloomer.
Isn't
I think
that
I'm
the best feeling?
What I'm making now. I don't know because nobody knows it yet. Do you know what I mean? I mean, some people do.
But are you happy making it?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Then you won.
100%. I am like, but yeah, it's the best. I'm just arriving, and I had to keep searching for what I wasn't to be, like the first Lowen EP. I didn't know it was not my first time, but I had released so much music as a singer-songwriter, Emily Kopp, and a lot of it was like pop, and then I was obsessed with Lissy, so it was very kind of bandy, which is kind of how I sound. And then, I took a break from music and then came back, and I was like, I don't know how I haven't played in so long live. And that kind of informs like my entire sound is playing live. I'm not like a studio rat who's like discovering my sound necessarily in the studio. It's like I would write songs, try them out live with a band, figure out parts. And like, because I couldn't afford to make an album for a long time, so I was only playing live. So, but I chased something else for a couple of years when I was started coming out with music as an artist again. Lowen, this is my project, and which is my family's last name, Lowenthal. And like, I chased, the first EP, I was listening to a lot of Maggie Rogers. I was listening to a lot of Chaim. I was listening to all these other things, and I had no other context for how I sounded because I'd sort of put down for like a year something that was like a part of my daily routine. And I listen back, and it's me, but it's me like kind of dressed up weird. And then the next EP I did during COVID, which is just a bunch of singles that I did most of, like 99% of, and then had like my bandmates remotely, like Sage recorded some drums, and then it was like a hodgepodge of people, and then I primarily produced it, and that feels like closer.
Yep.
And it was like pandemic, couldn't tour on it, couldn't vibe it out live. I'm playing like all the guitar parts, and then now I have my studio, I have space, I have time. I've played out a lot of these songs, and I'm finally had my daughter. It's like I'm finally now, and my like just everything. It's like when your taste lines up with, it's like the hourglass thing,
Yep.
I'm just starting to feel it, and it is nice to, I guess, be like a late bloomer in that sense because I have the tours, the like making day sheets for a fucking band where nobody, to like get to the van in time, and we took everything so seriously, so that, as we should, because then it's like it's the thing you love and you want to take care of it and you want it to last, and you like even from the business part of it to like the art part of it. And I feel like finally I used to get compliments on your voice is so good after shows. That's what people would say to me, and it would kill me. Nobody was ever like, I mean, some people, like my songs were great, but like early days when I started touring, that was always the comment. And my songwriting was secondary. And then I feel like I honed those chops, and then moving to Nashville and living here, it's like my songwriting and really like finding my voice and finding how I speak and how I synthesize ideas into songs in my way. And now those two things are like marrying each other. And it's like, I'm not in a rush anymore because, again, like you said, you were 22 and dumb. Like when you're 22 and you're in a rush, it's like, I'm not 22. So I realized that it's like, let's walk along this path. Like, there is no rush. Like, I don't know, maybe if you're trying to be like a naked, kind of like younger pop star, but it's like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to like age with my career. So like, I don't know how we got here, but yes.
There's nothing better as a friend to watch that happen.
Thanks. Likewise, but I feel exactly the same about you.
Right? Isn't it just
exactly
the best
same.
Where it's just like
kind of trippy. It's like, where did it go?
Where you look at it and you go, wow, the same thing that we loved back then, and the reason why we're doing this, and the thing that was motivating us is like still what sustains, and like what is something that you're trying to get better at every single day, and like and seeing those worlds come together, and you go, oh shit. Like, Emily's making some really cool stuff right now. Like, oh, that's fucking amazing. Oh, that's incredible. I didn't know she could do that. Like, wow, that songwriting's fucking stellar. Like, just being able to see that happen as a friend is the most fulfilling thing. And makes me so excited for every year to come, because I hope the way that you feel right now, where it's finally coming together, is I hope something that you say to me 5 years from now too.
We're just always catching up with it, going, oh, you won't believe this. I just got this new thing that I'm like figuring out right now, and it's unlocking this other side of the equation for me, and it's like hot topic right now, but AI, right? That everyone's so excited about, like how so many things about that.
How it's going to replace the work that they have to do, and going to speed things up. The ability, and I think that's all fine and dandy, The fear that I have is that people are no longer going to do the work to make themselves better because there's something that finds the answers for them immediately.
I'm not worried about it, dude, because I think cream rises to the top I don't know. Maybe I'm so ignorant to this subject of AI that I have maybe it's like making the craziest shit ever and I have no idea. But like I can't on like a human like DNA lived experience level there are certain things. Yes, you can automate. We fucking tried with the pod. We tried to automate this editing thing. Like you downloaded a thing that didn't fucking work. They charged you $30. And that didn't work because there wasn't a third camera.
Right.
But I don't know. There are certain things that I don't think you can replace Bruce Springsteen on a stage ripping
completely
for 3 hours.
Completely agree with you. My fear comes in that not that there is the way that can compete with this at all.
Oh, okay.
It's that people go, this is the answer, is that I don't need to work as hard. And that it'll get me to the end. It'll get me to the solution quickly. So I'm going to, whenever I have a question about something for work, I'm just going to type it in. It's going to give me the answer. And I'm going to copy and paste this, or maybe rearrange a couple things and send it back. And if that's the standard of like the effort that gets put in, we're all kind of lost. We had a messy 10, 15 years of figuring out this thing to get here, and a lot of failures and a lot of like lived human experience to even know the weight of what a good day in the studio is. Right.
So to piggyback off of that idea, then like, won't the proof be in the pudding? Those folks who opt in to automate things that really you need to get in there. Mm-hmm. Won't the proof be in the pudding because their lived experience, their chops just won't chop whatever that job, whatever that role, whatever that is, won't, stats don't, like a good basketball player is a good basketball player.
Yeah.
Stats don't lie. It's like, it's almost like that on an emotional level when it comes to music. And those, I don't know are there producers that we were talking about that are automating things, that are AIing things? I
think artistry can be, there will be paths that open up where people will utilize that for their artistry, in lieu of a producer, in lieu of a mixer, in lieu of a mastering engineer, in lieu of needing to learn an instrument.
Do you think that will open up just in a new, do you think it will pull people in a new direction, or do you think it'll just open up a new pocket of
probably a new pocket
within the music sphere?
I think there's always a world
super organic, au naturel, like, and then there's gonna be the spectrum. Is it just the spectrum getting larger? Likely,
yes. I think there's always a world where, like, someone explained it to me yesterday when they were kind of talking about this sort of thing, and they were talking about how, like, there are always going to be people that will order the Amazon make your own cocktails at home, Keurig pod cocktail thing, right? They'll go, I'm going to put this in there, and then I have a margarita. And there will always be the people.
What?
Yeah, it's totally a thing. And there will always be people that will want to go to the coolest new bar in town because they want the experience from the bartender that is going to make them their thing. It's going to cost them more money, but they're there for the experience and the appreciation of someone putting their effort into that. Mm-hmm. And I think the division that'll come is the people that just want the thing to check off the thing, and the people that want the thing, right? And there's probably middle ground between the two of those that'll be served. That'll be some combination of the two. But I just don't want people to look like, and this is me on a soapbox.
Yes.
Because I just hear stirrings of people going, this is going to change the game. I don't have to work at all. I don't have to do X, Y, and Z. I don't have to do this. And it's like, I even found this during COVID with a lot of people that were outside of the music industry, because music industry got fucking obliterated during COVID. Of like, yeah, dude, I am like not working at all right now, and I've got this going, and I've got this doing this, and I'm making money, I'm doing this, and like, for me, I got so discouraged by that, because I was like, oh, you don't want to do, contribute like anything or feel fulfillment from like the effort that you put in. You just want the easiest way out.
But that's less about music and more about a personality type.
Sure.
It's more about
exactly
a value system or
Right.
like an inner like compass
Right.
or not about. I mean, again, this sounds God. What ass? We sound like dicks. We're judging you all.
We're judging you, and I do. Go ahead. I'm so
But
sorry.
like, but no, not in a negative
Yeah.
way, but in a way of there are always like you said, like there are always going to be people who want to just get the answers and don't
Right.
want to find them.
Ah.
Our friend Nick Bird, my bestie for life, was here helping me put the studio together, and he refused to. He was helping me wire it up and teaching me about everything, and he refused to just do it for me. Like, he had to show, because he was like, you need to do it, like, because when I'm not here and something goes haywire, and here's how you make a blueprint of your studio, and there are going to be people like that who have that sort of, I don't know if that's a value, I don't know if that's just a sort of way of being in the world, and then there's going to be people who are like, I want to automate.
Yeah.
I mean, I automate stuff sometimes.
Sure.
I order, Whole Foods, Amazon, groceries.
Guaranteed.
Because it frees me up to have more,
Yeah.
creative. But it's like for certain people, maybe aspects of their life are on a different lower level and they just don't. I get it. It's hard to see when you're like passionate about something and then you see other people kind of like taking up space in a way that that feels like it's like it's earned space that should like to arrive there, like it means something, you know, and it feels almost like disrespectful to the nature of the craft itself.
Mm-hmm.
To just want to.
The experience matters because it informs the next thing that you do, right?
Yeah.
It's learned human action, and like a big thing about that I encourage artists in the process of making a record is like, we're going to get you your songs. That's all fine and dandy. However, the experience of doing this should be so fulfilling and fun and exciting and push you and like try to look back on this. And because I remember diving through CD covers when I was a kid and going, well, how many more photos do they have of them in the studio? And I would study everything that was around them, being like, oh, I wonder what that felt like. And I want artists to feel that way when they go make their art now. Is we may not have liner notes anymore, or it may exist as a PDF. You know, my dream is one day that Spotify has like something you can click through that feels like liner notes for real, you know, with like photos from the studio and like experience a record all the way down and dive through those things and see all the people that worked on it, not just the individual songwriters and producers on it, but you know, people that had all their hands on it. That's my dream,
that would be
right?
cool. But like that's special to be able to have that. I think that'll come back around.
I hope so. You know, I think there's ways to make it happen. You know, it just takes the people to do it and to actually do it.
Totally.
But when, you know, like, and this may be, I don't know if you've experienced on your side of things, but there was a phase over the last couple of years where there were artists that were coming through. They were like, we would write half the song. We would write verse and the chorus, and they go, okay, I'm good. Can you bounce me like a demo of this? I'm going to cut a vocal on it real quick, and then I'm going to test it on TikTok. I was like, what do you mean? Oh, yeah, I just need this. And if it's good enough, I'll come back, and then we'll finish it. And so someone was going, okay, I'm going to go test a verse and a chorus of a half-written song on TikTok. And if it works, I'll come back and finish the song with you. And that blew my fucking mind. Because I
have to take that in for a second, because I think I forget a lot of this because I produce.
Right.
I forget that when you require someone else to, you literally, so I don't know. How do you feel about that? That's a lot to,
it's horrifying when you put it on there. If I get,
it's outside in, it's not inside out. It's the opposite as it should be.
Nail on the head. Because you go, well, the song isn't good if people don't respond to it based on the algorithm.
It's the opposite of what we were talking about like it's literally chasing the zeitgeist. It's literally the worst thing you can do if you're interested in longevity. But maybe those people are interested in entertainment, and that's something else. The music industry, the entertainment industry is much different than being like a lifetime artist. Like it's a different chase. Like
and content creation is its own thing, and it can be respected and it can be its own thing. But when songs get put in that's a weird thing for me, where it's like, let's just finish the fucking song.
So what'd you do? Did you make any of them? Did you have to?
I pushed to finish. The couple that did walk and do it didn't blow up, right? But there's been plenty of things. Wow, this has been the easiest hour and a half of my life.
This is good. We can keep going because it's only been an hour and a half. So I'm going to set another timer for 15 minutes. That'll be good. But also, it's not going to be set in stone. Fuck it. Keep going. Not setting a timer. We'll deal.
But I think that songs being placed in that that kind of vacuum where
fishbowl vibe.
It's got to perform or it's not worth it, is like you're giving it up at that point. You know what I mean? Because
it makes me wonder if there's like two kind of like sub industries within, like, it's not even about art, it's like, or about expression or about writing like a timeless piece of, it's like it's a whole other thing. It's not even the same thing.
Yep.
It's a totally different, it's like a merge between, like, I see having okay, what if someone had a full album and they wanted to test out a couple? Mm-hmm. Does that make it feel different? If they already have the album and then they kind of want to explore it online?
Yeah, I think it's fine to tease things that you've made. I think it's weird to write half of a song for the reaction, and then to go, you know what, 1 million people like this, so it's worth finishing.
It's a different thing. That's not being like a touring singer-songwriter releases record. Or not even touring. It's a different thing.
And people could argue, okay, well, people make pilots for TV shows, right? And they see what the reaction is, and then they base, off of what they're going to do. However, that is a finished episode.
Can you imagine if it was one scene?
One scene. Is this good enough? And based on the day of the week that it came out on, at the time it came out on, is whether it's going to be perceived as good or not. Or wait, is just a reaction to a song that says some crazy shit, is that make it a good song? Like, what's a good song?
So what do you say in those? Have you been asked since?
Yes.
What do you say now?
What do I say? What would I do now is I would push to finish it. And if they weren't going to, I probably wouldn't get back in the room again.
Okay, let's role play.
Yeah.
I'm the artist. You're obviously the producer in this scenario. And I'm going to want to push something on TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm just going to turn my hat backwards so I change character.
I'll be here with the guitar.
Okay. Hey, Phil.
Hi, Lowen.
What's going on? How's it? I'm obviously kind of wanting to be an influencer.
Yeah.
And I talk like this. Hey, Phil, what's going on? How's the studio doing today?
Oh, so good. I'm so excited to be working on your song.
Oh, my God. What do you think we should call it? Because I was kind of torn between a couple of titles.
Oh, what do you think it should be?
So you know how in the verse it says, my pink t-shirt?
Uh-huh.
But then in the chorus we say, but I love how your boots look in that green grass. I wasn't sure if we should call it green grass or pink shirt. Or something else. I don't know.
You consider yourself more of a pop or an indie artist?
I feel like my genre is kind of this place of pop meets singer-songwriter meets a little bit of R&B, meets a little bit of electronic with some Maggie Rogers kind of just sprinkled on top. But then if they had a baby, all of those with like the Beatles. So I don't really like to have I don't have a genre. You know what I mean? Like when you're an artist, you just don't have a genre.
That's a good point. I would argue for green grass because you say it many times throughout the song.
The green grass grows.
The green grass grows.
The green grass grows.
Yes.
Can you remind me how the chorus goes?
I want to live where the green grass grows. Watch my corn pop up in rows.
Where the green grass grows. So I was wondering if you could produce just the verse and the chorus out. And I would like to try that online to see if anybody would connect with it before we finish it.
And by finish it, you mean, have we written the whole song?
No. We just wrote the verse and then the part that where the green grass grows.
I think it's a great idea for you to get people excited about your music.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's worth us finishing it either way, because we've booked the day out, to work with each other and to get this song.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking we can use the rest of the day where you can play the song, right? And then we can make videos of it. That's what we can use the rest of the day for. And I think it would just be like a good use of our time. And you can film me singing it. I can film you hitting your, what is that? Your
MIDI controller?
Your MIDI controller. Yeah. I think that's what I would really like to use our time for.
Yeah. I wonder if it's a better use for us to try finishing the song.
I don't know.
Because if you believe in this song enough to show it to people, I think we should finish it.
Where the Green Grass Grows comes out March 17th, 2024. Has that ever happened to you?
You know what? You drive a hard bargain.
Can you fucking imagine, dude?
It's more so shifty eyes of like, can you just bounce that? I gotta run to a meeting.
They do quicks off the cuff.
Thing,
yeah,
so
they don't
it's
make
like,
it a thing.
Right. People if someone had an intentional conversation like this and really like argued for it, maybe. But it's like when it feels so disposable, it's like it's just really, and it drives an interesting question of like, okay, if we write that song for an artist, right? You and I get in the room and we go, we're getting down with TikTok artists that's like blowing up right now.
Which I get it. Like, there's so many dope ones too.
Totally.
Like, a lot of great people have come out of TikTok for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
There's some amazing people that I've worked with in the last couple weeks that are incredible.
But there's also
the thing where the gamification of it is, well, I want to be famous, not I want to say something important, then be famous for it, right? It's the truth and the hit thing. It's like, you don't make the hit to find the truth. You make the truth and hope it turns into a hit.
Right. Right. It's a little backwards.
But that being said, we get in the room and then we decide we're going to make something for this artist, and then we put everything we got into the song because we're like, this is a great opportunity for this song to go, right? We write half or the whole song, whatever. They put it out. It doesn't do anything. That song that we still think is great is killed, destroyed, forever. Forever. No one can use it. No one's going to touch it because they go, well, you've already put it out with so-and-so and it didn't work. Why would I touch it? There's also AI recognition software on YouTube. The copyright is killed because the track's going to stay the same, right? If we use it with another artist and we're like, this is a banging track, well, let's change the vocal. Let's do it. Done. Over. We've already been released.
Damn.
So what do you do? It's like that's why I think it's better to make the thing and then let's check and see if the response is there. Sure.
Yeah.
Let's determine the single based on that. For sure. Totally fine. But to half make things.
Well, you're in another field.
It's just a different thing.
It's a different industry.
Different thing. And I don't want to come across as a hater or to not like be supporting content creation because I think it's incredibly important. There's people that do it beautifully. It's when you start to intermingle the things that require the full effort and half-ass them and then go, well, it's fine. If it doesn't work out, it's just disposable. I'm just going to put another song out, blah, blah, blah. The volume game just gets to be out of control. And that's why I think that a lot of reason why we end up in such a frustrating situation where people go, well, there's no roots here. And they sign an artist and then they're like, yeah, you got signed off of that one song, but where's the catalog? You know what I mean? That you need
fans,
you need a fan to land on a catalog, right? They can't just go one song, oh cool, I'm done. Like, you know how hard it is to remember a song that someone said pre-save, it comes out in 2 months, and you're like, this is a banger. You're never gonna remember that shit, ever, right?
No, it's about it's building your corner
of the earth,
however
and
you do it.
Being happy with the 10 people that are there. And be like, this is dope. This is and they feel like people forget. They think it's embarrassing because there's 10 people there. Those 10 people are fucking thrilled to gatekeep the shit out of you.
Yeah, that's true. They'll gatekeep you.
Yeah.
They'll gatekeep you. I'm talking to all 10 of you. They'll gatekeep you. No, I think that like that is just being younger too.
Yeah.
It's just like you don't have the you have some sort of perspective, but it's kind of limited in the way of lived experience. Mm-hmm. So, you know, now we can recognize things for how beautiful they are.
Yeah.
When, like, I remember being, you know, 19, 20, 21, 22, when I started, like, being in pursuit of having a career as an artist, which are two things that literally don't belong together. It was just like I kind of put a lot of things to the wayside in chase of the, I guess it was kind of my version of like what TikTok kids are doing now of like in pursuit of the next gig, the next write-up, the next good look, be seen because nobody knows about me otherwise. And I'm killing it at these gigs and I'm killing it doing these things. And I need more people to see it.
Right.
And you act with this urgency because you think when you turn 23 or 24 or 25 or 26 or whatever, 27, 28, it like someone's gonna be there with a sign that says you're done being an artist, you have no perspective,
right.
You'll stop feeling things and you have no right to pursue anything. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. I would love to be on stage writing and playing songs in my 60s, 70s, 80s. Mm-hmm. It's like, so I think that rush though, and that's what burns you the fuck out. And that's what you have to learn it. They're going to have to go through it, learn it, get burned, go through bad deals, whatever, do all we did a version of that in the early 2000s or middle 2000s. And I think that's just like, being maybe like someone with perspective can approach those things now in a more healthful manner,
right?
Hopefully, than someone who's like 20 and their like prefrontal cortex is like just getting formed and they're like chasing after something and they do desperate things because they think there's a timeline and it's just like this, all of these things converging, and it is wild. It's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
There's a lot of information all the time.
And it's like, what do you do with it?
It's a lot.
It's like, what do you do with that information? Do you let it inform you? Do you let it scare you? And I think that changes every day for all of us where it's like, well, how do we feel about this? You know, how do we respond to it? How we make it? And it's like the industry has a way of pushing you to be like, if you're not fully on top of whatever the next new hot thing is, you are behind and you are being left behind. And it's like that lie being sold, a lot of people buy it, right? And a lot of people go, well, no, I got to pursue this hot thing. And it's like, but the next hot thing will come and the next one will come.
Yes.
And next week you're going to be on to a new artist, a new person, a new strategy, all this. And it's like, just make what makes you happy.
Yeah, and if your day-to-day life doesn't look happy, then
that's so key.
What's the point? What is the point?
Fame will not heal you.
Nothing.
Money will not heal you.
People coming to your show. I've played
People
big shows. It feels fucking amazing.
Yes.
And then you go and you're kind of like alone for a second, and it kind of sucks. And like when you're doing that, like all the time, and then you're like your day-to-day life isn't as fulfilled because you're filling it with this chase because there's no space for anything. That becomes this like big like piece of fucking in the soup. It's just a big fucking piece of meat in the soup that's taking up the entire bowl. And there's no room for love, and there's no room for making memories. There's no room for traveling or camping or cooking or making drinks, or because you're like, I need to chase. To me, the point of being alive and being a person is like we have the ability to like enjoy our time.
Yep.
I don't want something has to give your day to day, and that might slow down your pursuits. But you're gonna have a more enjoyable existence,
right? Which is
a beautiful one. And isn't that the fucking point?
Yeah.
And if you get to be on doing this and doing that, and all of that will come, but like your life has to be one of like value to you.
Right on.
Outside of that,
completely agree with you. And it's like. That's what we should be reverse engineering from, not going success.
That's a good word.
What is success? What does that look like? And if that is, I want to be famous, well, that's it's its own bag that you got to figure out and see what that feels like to know that you probably don't want that. Mm-hmm. But if your life looks a way where I do things like this, I go to this place, with these people, I eat these things, I drink these things, I smoke these things, I like whatever it is, like write out what the dream is and then figure out from that, because that is probably going to look a lot more simple than this crazy complicated thing that you think will heal you by being famous.
It won't heal you. It'll fucking hurt you.
It'll destroy you. It'll destroy you. Because exactly like you said, the moment you play the big show and then the moment that you were alone and you go, oh shit, that was it? Every time there's a bucket list career thing that happens, it gets coupled with it. There's an alone thing that happens. And then
if you're not filling those other buckets.
Right. Yeah. Right. And then it becomes a thing, where the first day it's like, well, that was pretty cool that I did that. Yeah. And then a week later it becomes a story that you tell people that love you, that are proud of you that you did it. And the more you tell it, you're starting to lose it more and more and go, yeah, it was kind of cool, but I'm glad they're happy about it. Okay. And then you're just like, and then it becomes, you feel like you're telling a story about something that happened to someone else rather than it being you. And then, but 3 weeks ago, this was the pinnacle moment that was going to unlock everything. And it's like, I wish we would just go, I wish I could make my mundane, very simple life feel amazing. That is way more fulfilling than these high water mark. I was in the room with so-and-so yesterday. It's like.
But our everyday life is amazing.
It is amazing.
It's not to be trite and like annoying about it, but it's like, it is amazing. It is amazing that, I mean, a lot of people get anxiety about this. So if you get heart anxiety, don't fucking listen to this. But like, it is amazing that we keep breathing when we're sleeping. So it is like literally the having a kid was something that lit it up even more. It made it even more apparent. It's like you see how special. So it kind of makes those other things feel like, okay, a cherry on top of the abundance. But like, it's not, I used to think that like, if I didn't get this accolade, if I didn't get this, if I didn't get a manager, an agent, a label, Grammys, when you're like first starting and you have all these, and then you realize you're kind of empty besides those aspirations. Mm-hmm. There's really nothing else. And I'm with you 1,000%. I think reverse engineering is the way to. Okay, so we'll end on this note.
Yeah,
we have to reverse engineer. What is your? I feel like you are kind of living your dream in a version of it, but in an elevated way. Or if you can see, like, how would you reverse if you could reverse engineer the pinnacle of what you would imagine your daily life looking like? What does that look like? Meaning, like, maybe where are you living? And, like, do you have children? And where's your studio? And who are you working with? Like, what time are you waking up in the morning? What is that day-to-day dream?
That's a great question.
Look like?
I'll tell you the thing that I'm most excited about my life right now is I just got a CPAP the other day. Are you familiar with what this is?
Is that the breathing machine?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I know what it is.
Right. I am 4 days onto the CPAP. It is changing my life.
Whoa. You have apnea?
I have severe sleep apnea. Which, remember we were talking about the whole thing about me being scared to go to sleep?
Yeah. Was that a part of it?
It was because I didn't know at the time I had sleep apnea.
Oh.
And I was
that
waking
makes a ton
up.
of sense. Yeah.
Waking up in the middle of the night, struggling to breathe because my body would stop breathing. And then I would wake up in the morning and go, why do I have all this anxiety about me dying when I go to sleep?
Boom.
And then it was a cycle that had been going on since I was like 22, right?
Whoa.
I'm 30 now.
And you just got the
I just
CPAP.
got it, right? I've always been a horrible snorer. That's always been my thing. However, I did not take care of it until my current wonderful girlfriend, Allie, was like, who's also a nurse, was like, Phil, it's really, you got to take care of that because this is scary. And so I did the home test, right? They tested me for it.
She suggested maybe you have sleep apnea.
Oh, no, she's like, you for sure have
As
sleep
a nurse,
apnea.
I'm telling you.
Yes,
Okay,
this is clinical.
sure.
You should get help, right?
Got it. This is
And so they sent me home with the test, and I open up the package, I strap this thing on, I go to sleep with it, right?
Yeah.
And I wake up. I wake up the next day and I go, I wonder how it went. I sent it in. Get on the phone call with my doctor a couple weeks later, and he was like, Phil, I have had people come in 2 years earlier than you with like half the severity of what you had after they had a stroke. Right?
What?
And so he was like, you were having 50 apnea episodes per hour.
What is wait. What's an apnea episode? Is that when you're is that that?
So there's a couple different types. I don't know the specific names between the two, but there's one episode where you just stop breathing and then your body just eventually picks up, right? There's another type which is more severe, which is where you stop breathing and your body literally has to wake you up and you like lean up and you're gasping for air, right? So I was having like probably 10 of those an hour. The other 40 were just like my body would somehow.
I'm
right?
not laughing at sleep apnea. I'm laughing at the sheer numbers that you're throwing out. I thought you were going to say like I was having 5 an hour. It was like 50.
So he broke it down for me. He said for the 6 hours that you were asleep during that night, you were not breathing for 4 hours of that.
I don't understand how you functioned.
Right.
And the lack of sleep too. Doesn't that affect you?
I was sleeping for approximately 2 to 3 hours a night. And
then is that really does that do damage on your body too when you stop breathing
it can cause brain issues, brain fog. Like I'd been noticing I was losing some memory stuff like going on where I was just like it felt like I woke up in a fog with a headache every single day. And so finally got help. It took forever to get the machine because the way the world is right now, but I got it. And by 2 p.m. every day I was yawning like I needed to take a nap. I feel like I did at 10 in the morning this morning right now. And
seriously?
I've had a cocktail with you and I feel like a different human being.
So you put it on when you lay down and then is it go
it's dead
like,
quiet. It's just pushing
noise?
air into my nose and it's pacing with me as I'm breathing. It is pushing the air.
It's not
in.
loud?
No.
Oh.
It sounds like
my grandma had one that was like
no. This
shit.
is the new technology is pretty nice.
Okay. Cool.
So I say
That's
all
amazing.
that to say, my life looks like taking care of the things that I ignored when I was young because because I didn't put value on it. But my value now is like I want to be a healthy human being, mentally and physically. I want to take care of the people around me that I love. I want to create music with the people that I love and not with the people that I don't. Mm-hmm. And try to make a contribution to the world with what I'm capable of doing. If that looks like increasing in scale or attention by the artists that I work with, great. If it continues to be the artist that I'm with right now, and we build up together, amazing. Like I'm literally just happy to be here, just happy to be making music. I definitely have specific goals and people that I would love to get into the room with, but the thing that I learned early on in Nashville and my friends taught me is just it's all in the right timing. You know, you want to care about the context that you meet somebody rather than you being the person that's clawing to get into the room with them. Them hearing about you being dope from someone that they trust will work so well for you in the long run. And so I wait. I do the best work that I can with people that I'm around, and eventually those doors open. I think Nashville will be the thing for me for the next probably 20 years. And then Allie has traded her, she was travel nursing when we met. She was supposed to end up in Denver, Colorado. She ended up staying in Nashville because of us. And
after you guys had met, she decided.
She decided to buy a house and stay here and do the thing. And it was like incredible, right?
Yeah.
So I think at a certain point in life when I've run my course and I can go mix from anywhere, you know, and have had a name and do mix with the masters and all that shit, like I think at a certain point we'll move to Colorado or something where she loves mountains and hiking and doing that thing. And so ideally we can do more of that as life continues to be a thing. We take some time off, but I think living wise here for the next 20 years, probably somewhere else. I love the studio that I'm at right now.
It's awesome.
I'm grateful and happy to be doing what I'm doing. I feel good just trying to be better at what I do, and go deeper and work harder. That's it.
Damn, thinking about where we came from, this is pretty incredible.
I know.
Can you peep your hat? Guys, follow on the
socials.
Yeah,
at AndCo Entertainment or at Phil Barnes Music. What is the 10 good songs? Tell me that.
I went to a show, Theo Katzman.
Yes, with Jamie. You went the other night.
Yeah. And this was, I bought everybody's merch. I was very inspired, and it felt exciting to feel excited, like about music, about seeing a show. It felt like a magic trick again. Like, it was next level. He's next level. And then as an artist and the things he sings about, perfect example, is like Inside Out. Like I could tell it came from, him. And like it hit me exactly, like some of the songs he sang hit me exactly like I needed to hear them, and it was awesome. And so I bought this hat. So this is the name of his new album. I get 10 new songs, which is also kind of motivational because
that's all you need to strive for.
That's all you fucking need, right?
Yeah. Dude, I just want to say how happy I am for you and that we're in your beautiful studio that you've worked so hard to get to and to be doing all of this and having this and creating the space to do this. This has been something I've been looking forward to for weeks. And
I've been psyched. I was bummed when we had to reschedule, so
I'm so pumped.
We all got sick, but thank you for coming.
This was awesome.
Phil Barnes, love you.